Hi, I'm Kristen, and today I'll be talking about soul spinning, or the sensation of the astral body spinning within the physical body during meditation or channeling. So I have had this happen to me a number of times during meditations that have segued into channeling with non-human intelligence. And anytime that it has happened, it has never been deliberate. It has always come up just spontaneously. So it's a complete toss-up as to when it will happen, if it will happen. And so I know there isn't that much information out there on the internet or on YouTube about this. And I thought I would make a video about it today, just about describing what it feels like, kind of what to expect, how you can temper it down a bit when it begins to happen, and also a little bit about what I've learned that it might be. So to quickly describe what it feels like, I will start a meditation, and I will start that by kind of raising my vibration. And so when I do that, I am imagining myself and feeling myself kind of breathing in light, like a golden or a pure white light, and breathing out smoke that's black that eventually starts to turn more gray. And I will keep doing that practice and kind of purifying my energy, for lack of a better phrase, until I feel like there's no more smoke or darkness that seems to be coming out of me. And I do feel like I'm kind of like radiating light and radiating positive energy. And so from that point forward, I can typically start feeling sensations happening within the body that shows that there might be energy coming in. And so occasionally that will be just kind of like a tickle between the eyes, which would be, I guess, the third eye kind of opening. But more often than that, I will feel it almost feels like a flower crown, or like a forehead necklace that used to be popular a few decades ago. But one of those types of objects that would lay across the forehead, kind of being draped across my forehead. So I would feel it kind of coming from here to here across my forehead, and it would feel like a static energy type of sensation. And I would know that at that point that I would start to receive kind of more messages, more information coming in. So that could come in typically clairvoyantly, where I would see a lot of images, but I would also receive messages claircognizantly, where I just know what is trying to be communicated, and clairaudiently as well. So that would be a typical meditation. And typically, as I go farther and farther, or spend more time in this meditation and receiving more messages, if I don't kind of cut it short or have a time limit on what I'm doing, it's at that point that the soul spinning will kick in. And again, I don't know which times it will happen, which times it won't. But when it does happen, it feels like there is something gently unlocking within my body. And so it's most of the time it's from the bottom of my rib cage or the middle of my rib cage upwards, and it'll go to the top of my head, and I will feel um, what I can only describe as my soul, or my astral body. I will feel that top half of my soul turning, typically in a clockwise fashion. And what's really interesting about that is it's not just a feeling of energy kind of circling around me, or circling within me. I can feel my whole literal soul, or my whole literal astral body, with including like kind of where my ears are, where my face is, where my eyes are, where my nose is. And I can feel the exact direction that it is facing while it's turning. So if the spinning starts out slowly, I can feel kind of like my eyes like turning, like, and being aligned in this certain direction. I could feel where they are on the back of my head as they're going back around. And as the spinning typically speeds up, I could feel that as well. So I could feel my eyes like rapidly moving around, and I know when they're in the back of me and when they've come back around to the front. And so typically when that soul spinning does start to happen, it starts slow and it might stay slow, but other times it'll speed up. It never really seems to start out fast. And I would say that when it does kick in, it can happen in short bursts, or it can happen in longer amounts of time where it kind of tapers off. So in a short burst, I might feel the soul spinning for about a minute. But if I don't kind of try to rein in the energy, I could feel this spinning go from slow to fast, or at a moderate pace to slowing back down and disappearing. And that whole process could take, if I had to guess, I would say 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the night. um, and so when that happens, when it's typically not disconcerting, it's not uncomfortable. I don't feel myself getting dizzy. I don't feel myself getting nauseous at all. It just feels like another part of me, like the real part of me is just turning for some reason, but it doesn't have the uncomfortable sensation that you might expect of it. And so while that's typically the experience that I have when this occurs, there have been other times that I've felt my lower half also start spinning. And so when that spinning starts to happen, it is not in the same direction. It's like two halves of a whole, and one is going one way and one is going the other. And so still typically my top half will be spinning clockwise and my bottom half will be spinning counterclockwise. And so that's been pretty strange because I've kind of racked my brain thinking like, well, why on earth would I be split in half, and like what would the significance be of going in two completely different directions? And obviously, there's no hard and fast answers to that, but I have done a little bit of research where I feel like I might have a little bit of a better understanding. Um, and sometimes when the spinning is going really rapid and it's hard for me to concentrate on the messages that are coming in just because I'm so focused on the quick movement, I will I will try to bring my energy down and pull it back in. And even though the entire sensation of the energy is still centered and within my physical body, I'll pull it in further. And when I've done that, I have on one occasion felt the energy kind of go from spinning, and instead of spinning anymore, it kind of stopped, like going like one direction, like going up to my right hand side, and then it started kind of like sloshing back and forth and back and forth like a boat at sea. And so the time that happened, that sensation probably lasted for 3 to 5 minutes of this kind of boat rocking kind of feeling, and then eventually it just kind of settled down in the middle and went away. So when I was trying to do research on this initially, I couldn't find anything except some type of Kriya yoga practitioners talking about like the body physically kind of moving with energy. And so they would say like while they're meditating, like they feel themselves like kind of circling around a bit in their physical body. And that is not what I experience at all. So my body will be completely still, and I will feel just my astral body or my soul within me moving completely independently on its own without me moving anything of my actual physical body. So looking into it a little bit more, I was able to find a video by a meditation practitioner and teacher named Ben Smith. And so he said that what seems to be going on when you do feel this kind of soul spinning is that there is prana that is coming into the body during that meditation. And so prana is kind of like life force energy. It might also be known as chi, I believe. And so when that life force energy is coming in during a meditation and gets stronger during channeling, especially, it starts to move down through kind of like the central core of the body. And he mentioned there are two different systems that seem to twist up the central core of the body and kind of regulate energy, I believe. And he said that when all of this prana or life force energy comes in, that it kind of activates or unlocks like this kundalini center that is at the bottom of the central core of the person, or the central core of the soul. And when that activation occurs and it starts to unlock, then there is kind of energy that starts moving up through the body or activating certain chakras within the body. And as those chakras start activating, or just even parts of the body start activating or start turning, you're releasing that kind of kundalini energy. And I suppose allowing some of that spiritual energy outwards. So I am familiar with kundalini and the idea that the kundalini is kind of like a sacral energy that is stored at the bottom of the spine, and then it kind of opens itself up and moves up the spine and then around and around. But typically when I thought of that before, I was thinking of it coming from bottom upwards and then going from upwards down. I was not thinking of like this clockwise or this counterclockwise type of sensation. So it was interesting to hear that kundalini could also be felt in this manner, where it's turning around within the person. And I was talking to a friend about this as well, and she was mentioning that she's also felt this type of spinning sensation. And she said that, oh, it might be Merkaba. And I was a bit familiar with Merkaba before, but I hadn't really looked into it. And so when I did look it up, it did seem like this could be the kind of actual sensation of the Merkaba within the astral body or within the soul, kind of activating and turning and physically being felt. Um, so the Merkaba is two tetrahedrons that are sitting one on top of the other within the astral body, and it is said that they're meant to represent feminine and the masculine, and so that could be interpreted in any kind of broader ways that you can imagine. So like earth and sky, or light and dark, whatever types of opposites that you can imagine. And it's thought that the top of a Merkaba turns clockwise and the bottom turns counterclockwise. And so upon reading that, I was thinking, well, that's exactly what happens when I have this sensation that kind of kicks in. So I'm not quite sure why it is that it's able to be felt, but it seems like this is something that must have been happening to people for many generations, possibly millennia, for these concepts to kind of be known and for these concepts to have a name. Um, so it seems that generally when this does happen and this sensation of spinning is kicking in and you're feeling it, it is almost, I would say, a symptom, or it's kind of a signature of enlightenment, of spiritual awakening and of enlightenment. Just this idea that the soul is kind of moving up in vibration, that the soul is more tapped into kind of a universal God energy. And there's also a type of purification that's happening, because I suppose, from what I've read, just from this kind of like yogic philosophy, it seems like there wouldn't be the sensation happening unless there was a type of purification or a cleansing that's kind of occurring while this is happening within the body. So overall, it seems like it's a really positive type of occurrence that could happen to somebody. So if anybody else is experiencing this type of soul spinning or astral body spinning, I would say don't be afraid of it. It's nothing bad. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't make you feel sick. It doesn't make you feel dizzy. Um, but it does seem to signify to the person that's having it happen that something good is happening spiritually to them, and they are moving up a level, so to speak. So I hope this has been helpful, especially if anybody else has ever experienced this and kind of didn't know what was going on. And if you haven't experienced this, I hope that you do the next time that you meditate. So thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.